Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to WatchBox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any WatchBox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. Today, we are discussing a watch that is steeped in irony. Why? Because in 2009, when it was launched, it was viewed as an excessively priced point of entry to the Journe brand. That's right, it was the entry-level model at a brand where presumably veteran collectors would progress to a resonance chronometer, perhaps a tourbillon remontoire. But no, this watch became the most in-demand, waitlisted, and recognizable FP Journe watch. A watchmaker who largely defines himself by his complications has become known for a watch that has only 3 hands. So, what can I say about the Chronomètre Bleu? First, it wears beautifully. Its tantalum case is 39 millimeters in diameter, 8.7 millimeters thick, 45.8 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and it has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters circumference, and you can see it wears well. In between the Chronomètre Souverain case sizes of 40 and 38 millimeters, the timepiece is a good match for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. It's very flat, and with a domed bezel, it slides easily under a dress cuff. This is a watch for him and for her. You could see that Journe uses curved spring bars so that the lugs can be drilled relatively close to the case. The combination of the close drilling and the curved spring bar means you can pull the strap straight down out of the lugs for a good fit on a small wrist. The strap is a factory piece. Large rectangular scale alligator leather in honey color on the top with high gloss, a monotone stitch, a folded edge, and then we have small round scale gator on the bottom here. The double gator, top and bottom, is something that costs a bit more, but it's used by a lot of the best brands in the industry to create a more durable strap. So a little bit more money, maybe $200 more for this strap compared to calfskin on the bottom, is certainly worth it for a timepiece of this stature. We have a pin buckle in matching blue-gray tantalum. And then you can see we have little pull-tab spring bars so you can quickly and easily snap the strap off of the case to clean between the lugs or swap to a different strap. The case is iconic. Not so much the design, that's general to FP Journe watches. It's this lovely blue-gray shimmer and shine. Now, I went to Boîtier de Genève, which is FP Journe's Geneva case factory, back in 2017. And I was given access to everything. I saw models that were yet unreleased. I saw the process for making the Chronomètre Bleu dial, and at the time, they were only just beginning to bring production of that dial in-house. The one thing I wasn't allowed to see was the process for polishing the tantalum. Refinishers who've worked with tantalum tell me it is a beast to finish, that it will eat through tooling even faster than platinum, and if you've noticed other watch brands that use tantalum, they generally use it media blasted or brushed. Rarely do you see it mirror polished. That's how it's done at Boîtier de Genève, and apparently one of the finishers at some point showed the process to a journalist, and FP was not pleased. Glad I wasn't in the room for that conversation. All I can tell you is that an air of mystery surrounds this wonderfully dense and heavy blue-gray metal, especially in polished finish. The case is typical Journe, domed caseback, domed bezel, mid-case with integrated lug profiles, tapered lugs. We have the double dimple knurled crown. Of course, everything is high polished, and the overlapping lip of the bezel and caseback defines the mid-case. The dial, I mentioned I did see how it was made. And if you notice that it seems both glossy like lacquer and polished like metal, I can't give away any secrets, but it does look an awful lot like the blue dial on the Vacheron Constantin overseas, and I would say they have a lot of DNA in common. What sets this watch apart from the Chronomètre Souverain, on which the Chronomètre Bleu is mechanically based, is the lack of a power reserve indicator. So you have 3 hands and that's it. If you look carefully, you can see it's not a white printed dial. It's actually a cream off-white that adds a little bit of warmth, especially in contrast to the glossy blue of the dial itself. Now we have another different finish with the concentric pattern of the sunken second subregister, and you can see that the light plays across the primary dial and the subregister quite differently. We have those typical biomorphic tapered Journe hands and the Journe font used for the numerals, which do expand and contract as they move around the dial. Taking a look at the case back, this is a caliber 1304 from the Chronomètre Souverain, but you can see it's been customized, as on the dial side, the power reserve is now missing in action, and on the reverse side it does say Chronomètre Bleu Souverain. Now, you'll notice 2 barrels, and escapement and no visible means of transmission between them. That's because the drivetrain actually runs underneath the dial to better open up the case back so you can appreciate the finishing of the base plate and the open, airy vistas of each major component. You have a crown wheel and a pocket watch-inspired swan's neck style click spring, which is very attractive. You have a grand dorge or barleycorn pattern across the base plate, with the exception of adjacent to the balance where it uses an engine-turned perlage. We have Côte de Genève stripes perfectly aligned across the bridges, black polished screws, satination on the barrels, as well as the train wheels that are visible. And then we have mirrored anglage on the edge of the bridges. It's a combination of mechanical and manual anglage, but it's attractive and, again, commensurate to the price. Bridges and plates are 18-karat rose gold, so solid gold. The combination of the tantalum case and the gold movement means this watch has impressive weight in the hand and on the wrist. It's all 30 meters water resistant. The two barrels give it a 56-hour manual wind power reserve. They're not there to give the watch an exceptionally long power reserve. They're there to make for an even torque release. So, for example, this watch doesn't have the big drop-off in amplitude that you get on a single barrel movement after 24 hours. Even Rolex says that it's normal for its 3135s and 3235s to be at 270 degrees of amplitude after 24 hours. This is going to maintain a much higher degree of amplitude via the much more even and consistent torque release of a twin barrel setup. The balance is of large inertia and high mass to better shake off the effects of vibration and concussion on the wrist. It's how FP helps to regain some of that resilience in the face of a commensurately lower beat rate than you would expect with a small balance. We have a big balance and a 6 beat per second 3 hertz rate rather than a small balance and a 4 hertz rate. You also have a free-sprung architecture, so it's a nice shock-resistant, precise regulation system, and you can see it's been adjusted in 6 positions. That's one more than a standard chronometer 5 positions. FP calls this watch a chronomètre, but it doesn't submit to the COSC. Instead, he says, my watch is better than a COSC chronometer, so instead of testing the bare movement to ISO 3159 standards, I test the fully cased-up watch, and I've actually checked this watch in 6 positions on a chronoscope. These tend to run between +2 and +3 seconds a day. Remember, a chronometer is a bare movement running -4 +6 seconds per day. It is a 22 joule movement, nicely decorated, and all this is water resistant down to 30 meters. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of the FP Journe Chronomètre Bleu.